Hi everybody, today we are talking about The Blossom and the Firefly by Cherie L. Smith. The Blossom and the Firefly is a story about a Japanese pilot and a Japanese young woman who is in charge of taking care of the pilots before they set off to complete their final missions. The book is written in two perspectives of the Blossom and the Firefly. The Blossom represents Hana, or it could be Hannah, but I'm going to pronounce it Hana, and if I'm wrong, then I apologize. But Hana is the young woman who actually felt like she was dead even though she was alive because she got buried essentially by a bomb that the Americans had set off, and it had ended up burying her alive, and they ended up finding her, but she was under there for an hour, and so she felt like she basically died that day. And so she's been kind of just walking around and trying to not connect to anything in her life at this point because she feels like she's already died. She is a teenager, so she's very young, and she goes to this base to work with the other young women her age in helping the pilots. So essentially the pilots come to this base and they need their clothes sewn, they need food and their bedding cleaned, and so basically that's what Hana is doing. She's in charge of making sure that everything is clean for them so that they can do their duties as pilots and help Japan win this war. The pilot that is the other main character that the perspective goes to is Taro. And Taro is also we kind of start with him as he's young. It shows his love of music, and he learns how to play the violin, and eventually he gets to the age where his father says that he needs to become a soldier. Like, his father himself is a soldier, but says that his son also is going to need to be one, and that music is just a hobby, but what he needs to do is go to war for his country. And so that's what he ends up doing. Once he's of age, he goes to pilot pilot academy to learn how to be a pilot and learn how to fly and properly, fly that kind of a warplane to be able to go and bomb a bunch of American ships and just try to win this war. And so we go back and forth quite a bit until eventually they meet together. The two storylines add up, and he is at this base where Hana is. And they try to avoid Hana tries to, again, not make good connections. She tries not to learn any of the pilots' names because she knows there's a good chance that they won't come home, and she doesn't want to get that attachment to them. And so she pretty much just does her job and then goes home and tries to be friendly and kind, but doesn't ask for names, doesn't seek out trying to talk to them or anything. And that's a way to protect herself as well, because she wants to protect herself because, again, she feels like she's dead already, and she doesn't want to have any of these feelings and become attached to a pilot who she just knows is going to go and might not come back. In this book, there are a lot of toko, and those are basically the pilots who know that they are going to body crash, that they are going to crash their planes into an American ship, essentially killing themselves, but trying to take down the ship with them or kill several of the members on that ship. And so this unit was formed, and they basically did it on a volunteer basis where they said, we need people to body crash. Basically, your plane is the bomb. You're just gonna go and demolish everything in your path. I just feel like that would be such a hard decision. Of course, the Japanese are very much, for their country, and so for them it's not necessarily a question at all. It's just, this is my country, we are Japan, we do this for Japan, of course I'm gonna do this. But it's such a huge sacrifice to just willingly say, yeah, I am not going to come back from this mission. I'm just going to crash my plane and that's it. Like, that is such a huge decision that they make so easily, that it's like they consider that very honorable. And yeah, and so Taro ends up volunteering. It wasn't in the plan for him to become a Toko, but then he ends up becoming one because his unit is asked, and before he knows it, he's stepping forward saying that he's going to do it. And it's just because that's what you do. And so he and his whole unit basically volunteered to do that. They were like, okay, we're going to do it then. And so they started preparing for that final flight. So there is a lot about that in there. And of course, since this story is called The Blossom and the Firefly, they, as much as Hana tries not to become attached to any of these pilots, she ends up hearing him play the violin one day and she's drawn to it. It's so beautiful. Her father, before he went to go be part of the war, used to play music all the time at their home. And so when she heard it, music again, she was just naturally drawn to it, and he saw her in the doorway listening. And so on that last day, when he's preparing to leave and do his final mission, his final flight, he goes up to her and says that, you know, my violin needs a new home and you should be the one to take it. And so she, at first, she tried not to even look at him and tried to say like, oh no, I could never do this. And she's like, and he was like, it would be better for the music to live on, right? And so she does end up taking the violin and vowing to keep it safe for him. That's kind of probably like the halfway point of this book when that happens. And so there's a lot more that goes on after this that I could get into, but I just don't want to because it would, I don't know, I feel like it'd be too much into the spoiler region, and I just would rather not get into too many more details, because really that is what the most part for what you need to know. If you're interested in that, then this is a book for you. If you like war books, war historical fiction, novels and stuff, that's definitely what this is. It's from the perspective of the Japanese and their side of the war. I will say that this book was given to me by my husband, so I did not I'm not even sure where he saw it, but he got it for me when I was first starting to just read literature from Asian authors. And so I actually have had it for a while, and I was finally like, this is the year I'm reading it. And so I finally did, and I really enjoyed it quite a lot. I did like getting the perspective of the pilot and Hana, and getting to see two sides of the war in terms of how she sees it and how a pilot who's directly, like, completely involved in it, and how he experiences it. The ending of this book, I will say, shocked me a little bit, because there's some glossary pages in the back and some acknowledgments and things in the back that made it seem like there was a lot more pages left to the story. So when I turned the page and it was like about the author or whatever, I was like, wait, what? Because I just thought, oh, this is good, like, and there's more to it, but then there wasn't. And it kind of leaves you like wanting more, but at the same time completely satisfied that there isn't more. Like, I think it was just a brilliant way of ending this book, because you weren't necessarily thinking that was going to be the end. At least I wasn't. And then the fact that it was, you like let it settle in you for a second, and you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, that was good. That was a good way to end it. And so I really appreciate the way that this author, Cherie L. Smith, wrote the ending. So if you would like to give this book a shot yourself, I say totally go for it, as long as you really like, historical fiction and things like that. Because, of course, if you don't really like reading books about war specifically, then you might not like it so much. But was very, in terms of details of the war and things like that, it definitely isn't as brutal as other books that I've read that involve war. And so it's a lot more tame in that sense, because it really is mostly on the base and learning about these two characters and their perspectives on how they prepared for the war and how they supported the war and all those things. And so it wasn't so much of the battle itself that we were like constantly reading about. And so I think that for me that was nice, because I have read a lot of books lately that are historical fiction that are centered around different wars and different tragedies and things like that, that are really heavy and can weigh on you if you read a lot of them in a row, which is kind of what I was doing last year unintentionally. And so I took a little break from books like that and then returned with this one, and I think that was a good choice. Yeah, let me know what you think. If you've already read it, let me know how you felt about it. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.